Welcome to Science Explorers. We put the wonder back in the world. Hello, I'm Jupiter Jen, and welcome to your moment of science. I'm here with Lego builder Connor, and we are going to investigate indicators today with some very cool red cabbage. It's a natural indicator. So, Lego builder Connor, can you suit up, please? Alrighty. We're wearing some eye gear so that we are safe. Now, Lego builder Connor, have you ever eaten any red cabbage before? No?
Nope.
No. They use it in soups and things like that. But the cool thing is, it can be an indicator to tell us if we are working with an acid or a base. Now, an indicator usually tells us something. Can you think of an indicator that you might have worked with in the past?
Fire alarm?
A fire alarm is a perfect indicator. A gas gauge, when the light goes on, that's another indicator. Indicators tell us things. When you're at the swimming pool, they check to see the pH level, which is what we're going to be doing, of the swimming pool, so that we can determine if it has too much soap, too much chlorine in it, or if it is perfect for swimming. Now, what we do is we cut up this purple cabbage and we put it in the blender with some water. It's perfect. If you could make a hypothesis, I have 5 liquids. What does that look like to you?
Water.
It does look like water. Do you ever just assume anything is water?
No.
No, never ever. Now we are going to pour some of this in here. What do you think is going to happen?
Maybe it might bubble.
It might bubble because that's part of a chemical reaction. Sometimes a color change or bubble or heat. So what we're going to do is, since this is a pH scale that we're trying to establish here, which is will turn different colors, we are going to guess if it is an acid, which would be something like lemon juice or orange juice, and it feels like it stings when it gets in a cut, that would be an acid. If it's a base, it turns blue or green, sometimes yellow if it's a real strong base. So can you do wafting for me, Connor? And when you waft, I want you to start out here, because when something's real smelly, you want to bring it to your nose slowly. Does it smell stinky?
A little bit.
A little bit. Okay. What do you think, acid or base? Hold that for me. Do you think it's going to be an acid or a base?
Acid.
Acid, which would mean it would turn pink because it would be an acid. Guess what? Blue is always a
Base.
base. Very good. Put it down. We're running out of time. Acid or base?
Acid.
Okay, let's check it out. Are scientists always right?
Nope.
Nope, apparently not. Let's put it down. And that's how we can learn, because we see soap. So soap, like chlorine, is a base. Acid or base?
Base.
Base. Okay, going to go safe this time. Guess what?
It's an acid.
It's an acid because it's pink. Okay. Acid or base?
Acid.
Acid. Acid would be pink. Oh. See? But we're making a rainbow. We're making a pH rainbow. Acid or base?
Oh, acid.
Acid. Let's try it. Guess what we made?
An acid.
An acid. Here's our pH rainbow. And you can do this all at home with kitchen chemistry. We urge you to work with a parent, always, and never work with any kind of cleaning supplies. I work with lemon juice, baking soda water, soapy water. It's all good. This is Jupiter Jen with a Moment of Science. Thanks for tuning in.
Their motto is, if it's not fun, we're not doing it. They're Science Explorers, Jupiter Jen and Solar Sarah. Hello.
Hello,
Hi,
Dynamite Diane.
Wow. I love that name. What is Science Explorers, Jen?
Science Explorers is a hands-on science company for children. We started about 15 years ago trying to get out and get kids excited about science. So it's all inquiry-based, all hands-on.
We put the wonder back into the world, and that's really what you do. What areas do you cover?
Oh my gosh, we cover 7 counties locally here, but we're all over the country at this point doing programming in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Rochester, New York, Westerly, Rhode Island, Chicago. So we're moving and shaking.
Now, when you say programming, exactly what do you provide?
Oh my gosh, we do after-school clubs, birthday parties, summer science camps, and classroom visitations, where we go into the classroom, work with the teacher and the students, and get everybody excited.
Okay, now you are the founder and the CEO of Science Explorers, And Sarah, you are the program director with the Sparks Foundation. What is the Sparks Foundation?
Yes, we started the nonprofit Sparks Foundation so that we could work with the schools with partnerships. We have a lot of corporate partnerships that we work with, and we've been lucky enough to be able to go into schools, work with the teachers like Jen said, kind of work with them and their curriculum, and be able to bring this great hands-on experience into the school that doesn't always happen just because of how swamped teachers are, and we know that. And we know that it's a lot and it's messy, so we bring the mess and we clean up the mess too, which is always nice.
That is nice, and the kids love being a part of the mess.
Oh yes.
Absolutely.
Now you have some great partnerships with the Sparks Foundation.
We do. We started about 10 years ago with the Amatech Foundation, and they have been critical to bringing hands-on science to children that would never have the benefit of participating in it. You know, Science Explorers is great. It's kind of like piano lessons. It's after school. We do the after-school clubs, but the Sparks Foundation is able to help other children who can't afford the piano lessons. And, you know, it's a tough economy right now, so there's a lot of them out there, but we try to help as many as we can.
Now you really see children's faces light up when you do what you do. Tell me about that.
I think the greatest thing is that you have kids who, you know, maybe struggle in school, and that's not always the case, but if you have those kids that kind of have a little bit of difficulty sitting in their seat for that extended period of time, oh man, Science Explorers is their thing. I mean, they just love coming in, getting in elbow deep with a great science experiment. So we really see some kids shine in our programs that we offer.
And you have seen kids open up that normally might not have opened up and then excel in other areas because of what you introduce them to through science.
I also think another thing to say is that also the girls, you know, which sometimes we have these girls who say, oh, I don't want to touch that, it's a little messy, or, you know, and we respect them, but we say, you know, it's a gross kind of cool, and I think you might like it. So within minutes, they're kind of wide-eyed, like, wow, and they get into it. And so saying that this is fun and girls can do this too is also a key element.
And another thing to piggyback on that, Solar Sarah brought to us, we put little name tags on the children, Solar Sarah, Jupiter Jen, but we also now put little tags on the back of their cards to say what kind of science we're studying that week. So if they're chemists, when they come into the classroom, can you be a chemist? Well, they don't know what a chemist is, so we kind of brainstorm on what a chemist might do, and then they're chemists. So then the next time we come in and we're going to be marine biologists, and you ask them, can you be a marine biologist? They're like, yes. They don't know what one is, but they're sure because they were chemists the last time we were there, they can certainly be a marine biologist. So it's an empowering. Our vehicle is science, but it's really about allowing children to investigate and without the constraints of, you know, don't do this. We're not going to put a shark on the table if they can't touch it, which, you know, when you're in a classroom setting for 8 hours a day with, you know, as a teacher, you have to have order. But we're not going to put anything on that table that they can't touch when we put it on that table, because we're Science Explorers. We touch everything.
That's right. So, and if it's not fun,
we're not
doing it.
What age group is this for?
With our Sparks Foundation, we kind of right now are hitting kindergarten to 3rd grade, but we hit anywhere up to about 5th grade, 6th grade with our.
And we can, with the foundation, go further. It's the Amatech Foundation's parameters are for primary, but we're seeking a 4th grade sponsor because that's where all the testing occurs, the PSSAs, which are critical for school funding, federal and state funding, and it helps the kids. It helps them. I was brought up to Rochester, New York to specifically work with the 4th graders to get them ready for their New York testing.
And as you get older, you can get into the more, you know, nitty-gritty of the science experiment and get in depth with it. So it definitely can span. We can do it on a very, you know, small scale with the kindergartners and just getting them excited about science to then getting to the older kids and really getting into the terminology and the scientific process and all that stuff. So.
And what you do is being embraced by so many people. Once you go there, it's like igniting.
Oh, it absolutely is. We're like rock stars. Solar Sarah. I mean, I'm telling you, she almost needs an entourage to keep her safe when she goes into the schools. And it's just so neat. The kids, you know, when I first started doing this, and I'd come home and I'd tell my children, oh, got to ask for my autograph today, and they'd be like, oh my gosh. But it's getting the kids excited about science, and how wonderful is that?
It is wonderful. Now you have a website too. What is that?
Ooh, ScienceExplorers.com.
What are we going to find there?
You're going to find our schedules, our program descriptions, our 800 number, and you'll be finding the experiments that we're going to be doing on the show.
Okay.
And I'm going to do a small plug for our Sparks Foundation, because we do have sparksfoundation.org is our nonprofit's website, where we have info on there. And, you know, we're always looking for corporate sponsors and corporate partnerships. So.
And people that just want to make a difference in our community. Yep. You know, it's great that we go to Chicago and Westerly, Rhode Island, and Rochester, New York, but we need some partners in our backyard, because there's children in Lancaster City. I just got a call last week. Paradise, another call 2 weeks ago. Reading. We have immediate needs in our own backyard, and we would love to help them.
Yeah. Any final thoughts about science?
You know what? Let your children get dirty. I would say, let them explore. Let them, you know, find the wonder in the world, because kids don't go out and dig in the dirt. They don't creek stomp like we did. It's really changed. You know, everybody has their electronic devices and things like that, and there's a lot of science right outside your back door. Yeah. You know, go find it. I don't care where you find your science, find it. It's a good world out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mom of 3 boys, we're always doing kitchen experiments all the time, so just have fun with it.
It is. And Science Explorers, if it's not fun,
we're not doing it.
We're going to have fun. We're Science Explorers.
Hi, this is Solar Sarah, and this is a moment of science with my friend Jellyfish Jacob here. And we have a fun experiment to do today. We are going to be making some glow-in-the-dark slime. Are you excited? You're right. Well, as scientists, whenever we're doing any kind of experiment and we're not quite sure, what do we need to do? We need to use something to protect our eyes, right? So we're going to put on our goggles so we can protect our eyes. And to start off, we're going to use our powers of observation, right? So we're going to look with our eyes and see what we have here. What do we have here, Jacob? What does it look like to you?
Water.
Oh, it kind of looks like water. What makes you think it's water?
Because it just
what color is it?
White.
Oh, white. But sometimes you can see through it, so then it's what kind? Not white, but you can see through it, so is it clear? Yes, it's clear. Why don't you do a little, use our nose and do some smelling. Smell. Do you smell anything?
Yeah.
A little bit of smell? All right. Well, we're going to take our first liquid that we have here, and we're going to pour our liquid into our container. So we're going to pour that into there. Would you use another power of observation? Take this finger. Mix it in there. See what it feels like. What does it feel like?
A little bit slimy.
A little bit slimy? A little bit slimy? We're going to add some glow-in-the-dark powder to it. This is a glow-in-the-dark powder that when you hold it up to a light source, it will actually get excited and it then glows in the dark. So we're going to mix that in. Good job mixing that in there, Jacob. And then we are going to take another kind of liquid. What do you see in there? Use your powers of observation.
A little, like, white stuff crawling on the bottom.
Good, a little bit of white stuff, yep. This is actually some water that we took and we mixed in some borax cleaner. You can get it at the grocery store, but we mixed that in there as much as we could. And I'm just gonna mix it a little bit. And then we're gonna add this to this. What do you think's gonna happen? As a scientist, we always take a good guess. Make a good hypothesis. What do you think's gonna happen?
I think it's gonna glow.
You think it's gonna glow? That's a good hypothesis. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Keep stirring. Ready? Stir, stir, stir. Stir it up. Stir it up. Oh man, is something happening?
It's slime.
Can you pull that slime up a little bit so people can see it? Oh, look at that slime. We have a polymer that we had our cross-linking agent, which cross-linked it, and now we have this fun slime to play with that will glow in the dark in a dark area. So, thank you so much, Jacob, for playing with me and having this experiment. This is a moment of science with Solar Sarah.
As you'll see, science isn't always predictable. Sometimes gravity takes over, but that's just what makes science that much more fun. Science is all around us. Join Science Explorers as we go day tripping. Hi, and welcome to another day tripping adventure with Science Explorers. Today, we're at Indian Echo Caverns in Hummelstown, Pennsylvania, where we're going to go cave digging here. We're going to look around the caves, see stalagmites, stalactites, and maybe some other cool things. So, join us for our adventure. Come on, kids. Good job. Whoops. We could just pick that up. Very good. Good job.
What's up, guys? How you doing today? Good. Hi, I'm Brennan. I'm going to be your tour guide today, guys. You guys ready to go down?
Yes.
All right, come on, follow me. Danny?
Are you ready? Good. So yeah, you can aim at it.
Right over here, okay? The ceiling is 49 feet high, and right now we're 90 feet below the ground. No more cell phone service. You're welcome. To the ceiling from the lovely teeth. Now, that guy is a stalactite. Now we're going to make this guy. Perhaps raise your head.
Okay, I'll be great.
Okay. All right. So the reason we got this out after he died.
Did you have fun? Yeah. Brennan, that was an awesome tour. Would you please share some of the history of Indian Echo Caverns with us?
Caves were carved out around the time of the Ice Age, so millions of years ago, by an ancient underground whirlpool. And over the course of history, different Native American tribes would use the caves, particularly a tribe called the Susquehannocks, who lived right across the Swatara Creek, which is right next door to us. And the Susquehannocks used the caves as a refrigerator, actually. Because back then you didn't have electricity to keep your food cold, but luckily for them, right next door is a cave that stays 52 degrees throughout the entire year, which is a good temperature to store food in. Eventually, settlers and explorers came across the scene. They started utilizing the caves as well. And in 1927, the property was purchased by a family called the Bieber family. Not those Biebers. I'm sorry for the disappointment.
No, Justin.
You know, what can you do? And Biebers then commercialized it in 1929, opened it up for tours, and in the Great Depression, the Biebers were forced to sell the property to a small, privately owned company who's been running the tours ever since.
No kidding. My gosh, they had a great idea, and then somebody was able to capitalize on
and
that.
It's worked ever since.
Terrific. You mentioned that Indian Echo Caverns dates back to the Ice Age. How long ago was that?
That was between 50 and 65 million years ago.
And so they just started tours within the last 100 years.
Yes.
Indian Echo Caverns is the only cave that I know of in central Pennsylvania. Can you tell us other things that make it unique?
Yeah, well, the caves are constantly growing. A lot of people wouldn't necessarily think that rocks live, but they do, and they're actually consistently growing as well. Our caverns won't be the same in 100 years because they will continue to grow out, so that makes our caves pretty unique.
At Science Explorers, the children are often asking us, what's the difference between stalagmites and stalactites? What is your take and how do you explain it?
Oh, well, the difference is a stalactite grips tight to the ceiling, and we also like to say that he forms a perfect T when he comes down from the ceiling. Now, he also has a C in his name, so he comes from the ceiling. And stalagmite has a G in his name, so he comes from the ground. And we also like to say that one day he might reach the ceiling, only if he uses all of his might to do so.
Wonderful. That's how I always learned it, so that is really exciting. All right. These really cool stalagmites and stalactites are wonderful to look at, but there's a very good reason not to touch them. What happens? Is it the oils from our skin?
Yep. Yeah, we do have an oil in our skin, and if the oil from our skin gets on the rock, that creates a space in the rock that water can't get to, because water and oil don't mix. So instead of touching the rock, the water would simply pass straight over, and then the water can't leave behind minerals. And the minerals crystallize, and that's what makes the rocks grow. So if the water can't leave behind those minerals, there's not going to be any growth, so touching the rocks effectively makes them not grow anymore.
Wow. And then that's why geodes are able to form, because they're kind of self-contained then.
Right.
Fascinating. All right. And I know that there have been some animals that survive in caves. Could we expect to find any wildlife in the caverns?
Yeah, we have two animals in particular. We have cave salamanders, which are little orange salamanders with black spots. You'll see them around the underground lakes down there and some of the light bulbs that we've put in. And we also have a family of brown bats that live down there, but they only eat mosquitoes and kids who don't behave. So
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love that feature.
absolutely.
I've seen some blind fish in the past. Do you have any blind fish
No,
down here?
we don't have any aquatic life because all of the water in our caves is sourced from above ground. So there's no underground sources for any marine life to live in.
I've heard a story that there was actually a hermit living in these caves. Is that true?
Yeah, his name was William Amos Wilson. He was also known as the Pennsylvania Hermit, and he lived in the caves from 1802 to 1821. Now, the reason he was a hermit was early in his life, some very sad stuff happened with his family, and that caused him to shun society and become a hermit in 1802, and for the next and ultimately last 19 years of his life, he lived in the caves until 1821. But even though he was a hermit, he did befriend a local farmer who lived across the creek, and he worked odd jobs for the farmer in exchange for food, clothing, and medicine. And he would live inside one of the rooms in the caves. He would lay hay down on one of the formations to make it a bit more comfortable, tied a rope ladder around a stalagmite that he could climb up, and he would also light a fire on the ground beneath the bed that he was sleeping on that would heat up his room at night to make it a little bit warmer than 52 degrees. But yeah, he did live in the caves successfully for 19 years.
No kidding.
Yeah.
One last question. We crossed over train tracks on the way in here, and it's part of the Middletown-Hummelstown line, and then I heard it called as the Milk and Honey line. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, it was a train that did run through the area for many, many years, but last year in 2011, when Hurricane Irene came through, damage was done to the train tracks that unfortunately stopped the running of the train through this particular area. Now, it does still run elsewhere, but just not here anymore.
Do you think it'll ever come back to the area?
I wouldn't be surprised if it does. It was a mainstay for so many years, so I wouldn't be surprised if it does come back soon or eventually, but as of now, not here.
It's just such a nice family destination, and to throw a train ride into it could be a lot of fun too.
Oh yeah, it would be a blast.
But between the petting zoo and the gem station and the caves, it's a blast.
It really is.
I want to thank Brennan and Indian Echo Caverns for a great day today and a fabulous tour. Thank you for joining us at Indian Echo Caverns in Hummelstown, Pennsylvania. We had a phenomenal time today. Join us for our next day trip and adventures with Science Explorers. Hello, I'm Jupiter Jen, and welcome to A Moment of Science. Today we're going to be doing some kitchen chemistry with my friend Daffodil DeVea. And what we're going to do is we're just working with milk and some soap and some food coloring. Are you ready for some fun?
Yeah.
Very good. What we're going to do is I'll put a couple drops here, and we are going to put this in here, and you can kind of see what's happening is watercolor, food coloring is water-based. So when we put it in, it doesn't stick to the fat from the milk. But when we get done, we are going to take some soap. And can you take this? And we're going to dip it in the soap just like that. Can you dip it in there for me? Then we're going to dip the other side in. And what happens is when we put soap with our milk, the fat globules go right to the soap. So just pick a color that you like and put it right there. Watch what happens. It breaks the surface tension, and the globules of fat go right towards the soap. Is that so cool? It does like a little fireworks display. Is that pretty neato cool? How neat is that? And that is kitchen science with milk and soap. Did you ever know it would be so easy? Is it amazing? Now, another thing that we can do in the kitchen with some heavy cream is we can make some butter. Do you like butter?
Yeah.
I love butter. Butter is always better. What we're going to do is just add a little bit of salt. Just a little bit of salt to make some salted butter. And we put in a marble. Make sure you don't eat the marble. Can you shake that for me? And what we're going to do is we are actually coalescing. It's actually making the fat stick to itself. And we made our own butter. Would you like to try some? There we go. You keep shaking that. And here we go. I'll switch with you. Try that out. Daffodil Devea. Tell me if it's any good. Is it good? Very good. And that is how we can make our own butter. Heavy cream, little salt, and a marble. Please don't eat the marble. And do you think it would be a good idea to do this with a friend or with a grown-up?
Grown-up.
A grown-up. How about a grown-up and a friend? Because it would be fun to do kitchen chemistry, wouldn't it? Very good. I'm signing off with Daffodil Devea. I'm Jupiter Jen. Thanks for signing in. Bye. This is Science Explorers, and if it's not fun, we're not doing it! Thank you for joining us at Science Explorers. This program was brought to you today by the Sparks Foundation, inspiring young minds through science. Check out our experiments at scienceexplorers.com if you want to recreate any of the things you see on today's show. And join us next time for discoveries and adventures, because remember, if it's not fun, we're not doing it.